9. SKYLAR niece, SHELIA EDDY and Rachel SHOAF. One night, in July 2012, 16-year-old SKYLAR niece slipped quietly out of her Morgantown, West Virginia home through her bedroom window. She was never seen alive again after surveillance footage captured her getting into a car with her best friends, SHELIA EDDY and Rachel SHOAF. SHELIA allegedly claimed that the trio drove around and got high before dropping SKYLAR off about a block away from her home so that she could sneak back inside. The seemingly concerned pal even helped the niece family in their desperate search for the missing teen, but it was all a huge lie. As it turned out, SHELIA and Rachel had decided after years of bonding like sisters that they no longer liked SKYLAR. In fact, they hated her so much that ending the friendship wouldn't be enough to satisfy them. They wanted SKYLAR permanently out of the picture so that they never had to see or speak to her again. Months later, Rachel confessed under pressure from interrogators to being involved in SKYLAR's disappearance. She led detectives to her former best friend's body in the Pennsylvania woods, where she and SHELIA had lured SKYLAR under the promise of a harmless fun time. Instead, they'd stabbed her to death and left her remains at the mercy of nature. SHELIA EDDY pleaded guilty to first-degree murder and received a life sentence with mercy, meaning she'll be eligible for parole after serving 15 years. Rachel SHOAF pleaded guilty to second-degree murder and was sentenced to 30 years. She'll be eligible for parole after serving 10. Meanwhile, SKYLAR's devastated parents are left to carry on without their beloved only child. 8. Ana VIANEY Martinez LUGO. A TikToker named Ana VIANEY Martinez LUGO recently made headlines for her claims that her best friend nearly sold her into sex slavery. The 21-year-old, who lives in Mexico, went viral after she posted a video explaining how the series of terrifying events unfolded back in 2013. Lugo's bestie said that she'd been chosen for an exchange student program to Spain and invited Ana, who was just 12 years old at the time, to go with her as a guest. Of course, Lugo jumped at the offer and got right to filling out the necessary paperwork. But she was slightly taken aback to see that the documents asked her to specify if she was a virgin. Something didn't feel right, so Ana showed the papers to her mother, who contacted the teen's school. Administrators soon broke the disturbing news that the alleged exchange program that Ana had been invited to participate in didn't exist. Ana's mother visited the best friend's home and cleverly gained access to the family computer, where she found shocking evidence of the human trafficking plot. The friend had been dating an older boy who threatened to hurt her family if she refused to find candidates for the sex slavery operation. Speaking with Jam Press, Ana said that while she tries to see the situation from her former bestie's perspective, she still hasn't forgiven her. Ana described her ex-friend's actions as wrong and a crime, despite any perceived force that may have been involved. She took the ordeal as a lesson learned and uses it as a platform to warn other young and vulnerable people to follow their instinct. Ana also expressed her gratitude toward her mother for being vigilant and uncovering the truth before it was too late. 7. Brooke Preston and Randy HERMAN. Randy HERMAN became close friends with Brooke Preston and her sister Jordan in their hometown of Wyalusing, Pennsylvania. But the trio became separated when Brooke and Jordan moved to West Palm Beach, Florida. Randy stayed in Wyalusing, where his life began to spiral out of control. He drank heavily to cope with his issues, including his depression over his dead-end job at a meat factory. In 2016, he inherited several $1,000s from his father's estate and decided to join Brooke and Jordan in West Palm Beach. They rented a house together and Randy got a job, but he quit just a few months later. His drinking worsened as he squandered his inheritance on his vices. Eventually, Brooke decided to move to Buffalo with her boyfriend. She and Randy spent the day drinking before she was scheduled to leave with the last of her belongings. That's when Randy allegedly started acting weird. Brooke told another friend via text message that Randy was naked in her bedroom closet, stumbling and acting belligerent. The next morning, he stabbed her to death. Randy dialed 911 and immediately confessed to the crime. But he said that he couldn't remember killing his best friend, and he seemed genuinely remorseful and distraught. His lawyer argued in court that Randy was sleepwalking when he committed the horrifying act. It sounds hard to believe, but has been known to happen from time to time. In fact, some defendants have even been found not guilty of committing brutally violent murders based on sleepwalking claims. Prosecutors claimed that Brooke had rejected Randy's physical advances, sending him into a murderous rage despite there being no evidence of the two ever being more than friends, or of Randy having romantic feelings for Brooke. A jury nevertheless convicted him of first-degree murder in 2019, and he was sentenced to life in prison. Randy continues to maintain his innocence. 6. Mod Abdullah and Rogelio Butch Bagaboyo. Earlier this year, a 60-year-old college professor from Kamloops, British Columbia, named Mod Abdullah was reported missing after he failed to show up for work at Thompson Rivers University. His body was found weeks later inside a plastic bin in an abandoned rental van. Police ruled Abdullah's death a homicide and arrested his good friend, 54-year-old lawyer Rogelio Butch Bagaboyo, in connection with the horrific incident. Bagaboyo faces one count of interfering with a dead body for allegedly stuffing Abdullah's remains in the plastic bin they were found in. But it remains unknown whether he had anything to do with the homicide itself. Abdullah's daughter, Sarah G. Lalata Buko, lives in the Philippines. She last spoke with her father 2 weeks before he was reported missing and told CBC News that she was shocked to learn that his good friend is accused of being involved in his death. Lalata Buko described Abdullah as soft-spoken with a strong work ethic, leading one to wonder why someone would want him dead, especially a friend. Hopefully, these details will be revealed as the case unfolds. According to one of the more recent updates, the police were working to establish a precise timeline of Abdullah's whereabouts in the days leading up to his murder. 5. Francine Lewis and Joel Ryan. Comedian Francine Lewis is primarily famous for her appearance on the 2013 season of Britain's Got Talent. But the 47-year-old comic recently found herself in the throes of a much more scandalous topic: her husband Joel Ryan's alleged affair with his best friend's girlfriend. During an interview with GB News, Lewis confided that her partner of 17 years was cheating on her and that she'd just found out about it the night before. She explained that she found disgusting texts between the secret lovers and vowed to never, ever take Joel back. The interview was originally meant to focus on Lewis's experience with falling victim to a phony stock company and getting cheated out of £90,000, $111,284 US. But the context of the conversation shifted dramatically when she dropped the cheating bombshell, saying, in her own words, "There's so many scams going on all the time, but you know what's ironic? I stuck with my husband through this whole thing, and last night I found out he was cheating on me with his best friend's girlfriend." Francine went on to say that she wished she'd left Joel before he introduced her to the scammers who drained her savings, then added insult to injury by being unfaithful. The show's host reminded Lewis that she's a strong woman and asked her if she'll be alright. She responded by saying that she will be okay and that she has to get through it for her 2 children. In the meantime, Joel has completely denied the cheating allegations, but whether or not he cheated apparently depends on what someone's definition of cheating is. He confessed to sending inappropriate text messages to his friend's partner, but claims that he didn't cheat or have an affair. 4. Megan Milner. 38-year-old Megan Milner was walking her dog in rural Nova Scotia one morning in 2020 when something terrible happened. Local resident Joyce Parker was driving by when a teenage girl on the roadside flagged her down. The distraught young woman pointed toward a ditch where Joyce saw Megan's lifeless body. It was clear that Megan had been attacked, but the assailant's identity was a mystery. The woman's pit bull was initially at the scene, but ran off before police arrived. Joyce told CTV that the dog didn't seem aggressive, so she didn't think that he might be responsible for killing Megan. But detectives from the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, RCMP, suspected, right off the bat, that the victim's canine companion had mauled her to death. After hearing about these speculations, a local resident ran the dog over with their car and killed him. Police, however, determined that there was no criminal intent and did not charge the driver. It later came to light that the animal had a history of past violence. Investigators took this into consideration, along with witness statements, evidence found at the scene, and a medical examiner's report, and concluded that Megan had been fatally attacked by her dog. 3. Bestie betrayal. A businessman named Hassan Shehu recently lost his life at just 28 years old after being murdered in the Nigerian city of Minna. He'd been invited to his best friend's apartment to conduct an alleged business transaction, but was instead stabbed to death upon his arrival at the home. It wasn't until days later that police discovered Shehu's decomposing corpse inside the apartment, which by then had been abandoned. The suspect, Bashir Ibrahim, and his brother Aliyu had allegedly made off with a large sum of cash, which Shehu had brought with him to purchase a gold stock. They fled in the victim's car. Detectives caught up with the pair at a hotel where they were hiding out in the aftermath of the murder. A third suspect, Abdullahi Garba, was arrested for buying Shehu's cell phone from the alleged killers. Shehu and Bashir routinely did business together. It was normal for them to buy and sell stocks and other assets between each other. So, Shehu's guard was already down before he even walked in the door of Bashir's apartment, where he was betrayed in one of the worst ways imaginable. The suspects reportedly confessed to the murder and have implicated yet another suspect, who supposedly helped plan the crime and agreed to dispose of Shehu's money in untraceable ways. They also allegedly admitted to leaving Shehu alone to helplessly bleed to death. 2. Vyacheslav Matrasov and Oleg Sviridov. 34-year-old Vyacheslav Matrasov was faced with an unthinkable level of devastation last year when he learned that his best friend, 32-year-old Oleg Sviridov, allegedly had harmed Matrasov's 6-year-old daughter. The two were drinking together when Sviridov fell asleep. Matrasov decided to snoop into the man's phone and found deeply disturbing evidence of his 6-year-old daughter being harmed by Sviridov. Instead of calling the police, Matrasov took justice into his own hands. He forced Sviridov to dig his own grave in Russia's Samara region. Matrasov then attacked his friend with a knife, leading to a violent and bloody fight between the pair that left Sviridov seriously injured. Investigators initially held Matrasov on suspicion of murder, but they concluded that Sviridov committed suicide following public outcries demanding the suspect's release. After all, society doesn't take too kindly to pedophiles, and many felt that Matrasov's method of exacting justice was perfectly appropriate given the circumstances. A petition in support of his freedom stated that any father would have reacted similarly. Russian journalist Ksenia Sobchak wrote on social media that all parents were standing up for Sviridov's killer. And in this case, the majority certainly spoke, but Matrasov wasn't completely let off the hook. He may have avoided a murder conviction, but he was sentenced to 18 months in a harsh prison work camp for a lesser charge. While it's a lot less than the 15-year sentence he would have received for murder, Matrasov's supporters are nevertheless angry that he got any time at all, and feel that the sentence is an injustice. 1. Ghanasyan Marji and Sukalal Marji. What started out as an evening of drinking between two best friends earlier this year in the Indian state of Odisha ended in murder when the pair got into a disagreement over a cell phone. The drunken duo were reportedly sharing some liquor one night in early April when one of them lost their phone, leading to a heated argument. Things escalated to the point of getting physical, and Ghanasyan allegedly smashed a rock over Sukalal's head. Sukalal was rushed to the hospital with critical injuries, which he unfortunately died from. His surviving family members filed a complaint with the police, accusing Ghanasyan of killing his best friend. The suspect was arrested, and the matter is now in the hands of India's notoriously slow criminal court system, meaning he'll probably have plenty of time to reflect upon his actions while he waits to face justice. Thanks for watching. Would you rather catch your best friend stealing money from you, or trying to put romantic moves on your partner? Could you forgive either of these acts? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe. See you next time, bye!